Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Ashburton District Council's extraordinary council meeting for Wednesday, the 5th of August 2026. First of all, I would like to take any apologies. We are all here, including Councillor Todd, who is online. I've also been notified of an extraordinary item which is come from our Audit Risk and Finance meeting and relates to the Council's waste contract, and this will be taken in public excluded today. Do I have a mover and a seconder that we accept that extraordinary item, please? Councillor Maxwell, Councillor Gilkinson. All those in favour, aye. Right. Do I have any declarations, any conflicts of interest today? No, thank you. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to read the first part of the declaration that we made to become a councillor. And that is that we declared that we would faithfully and impartially and according to the best of our skills and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of Ashburton District. And I want you to keep that all in mind today when you are making these decisions. And today's decision is probably the most important decision that we will make as councillors. We're deciding on the future of our district. The government gave us 3 months to consider our options on forming a unitary authority as part of the Simplifying Local Government Reforms Head Start process. While 3 months is not a great deal of time, we've used that time wisely. We've consulted our residents twice, met with our neighbouring councillors, Canterbury mayors, ECAN councillors, the Methven Community Board, Federated Farmers, other community groups and individuals. It's been a hot topic out on the street and in the media. The decision that we make today is only the start of the process, and there will be much work to do over the next 2 years to put this plan in place. No matter what the decision is today, I am confident that all of us around the table, and you, Tony, have the district's best interests in mind. So I'll now hand over to Tony, and we also have Mark Lowe online to just go through how we've got here till now, and then I will invite questions from councillors.
Thank you, Mayor Liz. So look, today we're here to answer your questions and support you as you navigate this final stage of the SLG Head Start process. Mark's available via Teams and is really happy to answer questions as they come up, given his huge role in the work to date. So today I just want to recap the amalgamation options that you have on the table from the last meeting several weeks ago. Just give you a quick update on Christchurch City Council's decision earlier today, an overview of the options that you've got in the council report as they currently stand, and to take you through what the Head Start process is, what it means to make a Head Start proposal if that's council's wish. Happy to take any questions as we traverse along the way and also subsequent to this. So look, the three options that we were left with following the last council meeting was the Ashburton District Unitary first. This option would establish council as a standalone unitary authority within the existing district boundary. It combines current TA services with regional council functions for the area. The geography extends from the Southern Alps to the ocean and includes our major braided river systems. We would need to work through how the details of our service arrangements would work, but that could all come following a successful proposal to government. The second scenario we have is where we combine with Timaru District, Waimate District, Mackenzie District and Waitaki District into one unitary authority. It consolidates territorial and regional functions across a large South Canterbury and Waitaki geography. The model offers greater scale and integrated management of infrastructure, water and catchments than what a standalone option would. It also brings multiple councils and their CCOs and service systems into scope together. But the balance here is with the greater capacity and regional integration versus the possible reduction in local control and the transition complexity that could arise from that. Third option is around the provincial mid-north Canterbury. This scenario creates a rural-focused unitary authority spanning Huranui District, Ashburton District, parts of rural Waimakariri and parts of rural Selwyn districts. The proposed area would wrap around a separate Christchurch unitary area, making cross-boundary design important. It would combine territorial services and regional functions across a broad rural geography. The model could align productive land, catchments, freight and rural infrastructure interests together. It does require boundary changes and integration across several councils, and not all are in agreement with this. So a big part of our reason...
Madam Chair, are we asking questions as we go through, or wait until the end?
I think we'll let Tony finish and then we'll ask questions at the end if that's okay. Thank you.
So a major part of today's extraordinary council meeting and why council decided to hold off making the decision was depending on Christchurch City's decision, which was locked in about 1 o'clock this afternoon. They resolved to submit a standalone Christchurch City Council unitary authority based on the current City Council boundaries through the Head Start process. So that means right now we've got Christchurch City and Selwyn District both proposing standalone unitaries through to the Head Start process, and we're waiting to hear on the Waimakariri and Huranui outcomes in the next day or two. So the council report that you have in the agenda pack, it covers off the 3 options that you've got available to you, but it also allows council to decide on an alternative Head Start proposal should there be something in the wings that we aren't aware of yet, and it also gives you an option in terms of if council decides on the backstop process. So with the standalone unitary council one, the main benefits is that you'll get to retain local decisions, protecting a rural focus and avoiding inherited liabilities from other districts. There are trade-offs in terms of limited gains in scale, resilience and specialist capacity, with Ashburton carrying key pressures largely alone, unless there are some shared service arrangements that can be entered into. Your principal risks are that you have a smaller rating base, possibly a limited delivery capacity and reduced influence on wider regional priorities. If council were to approve this option, we could submit a letter of intent to government or possibly partner up with another set of councils to make a Head Start proposal. And we'd need to do that by Sunday, the 9th of August. With the Ashburton and South Canterbury plus Waitaki District Unitary Council, the benefits of this include a larger revenue base, you've got a stronger specialist capability and integrated management of rivers, water and infrastructure. The trade-offs would be that Ashburton District runs the risk of diluted influence and unresolved questions around some of the key things that we know are important to our community around rates, debt, representation and transition are still unknown at this point in time, but they would be worked through following a successful Head Start proposal. Your principal risks are that there are uncertain costs, there could be some complex integration, and there are some perceptions that decisions may centre on larger towns. A community also indicated this was a less favourable option with the inclusion of Waitaki District into it. But we could join with the South Canterbury outline proposal that's already under development if council was in favour, and that would be a complying Head Start proposal to make to government. The Provincial Mid-North Canterbury Unitary Council is the option that links Ashburton and Huranui with rural parts of Selwyn and Waimakariri. Your benefits include you've got aligned productive land, irrigation, freight and catchment interests, plus a broader capability base. The trade-offs are that you will be splitting existing district boundaries, which some councils are saying is not negotiable. You've got uncertain partner support and representation is still a detail to be worked through. Your key risks relate to those boundary changes, your asset and your service integration, and public acceptance of this one given the different scale. If council preferred this option, even with Christchurch City's decision today, what we could do is lodge a statement of intent to the government on the 9th of August instead of using a joint Head Start proposal if we weren't able to find a partner. It is still a viable option on the cards if this is council's preferred option. Council may have an alternative Head Start option in mind. This would allow council to define a different unitary model that perhaps better reflects Ashburton priorities or emerging regional positions. It would require council to name the preferred model and choose the submission path. 9th of August. And the last option in the report is that council may choose not to confirm a Head Start proposal and instead relies on advocacy and the later backstop process. The benefits of this could mean that you are avoiding an early commitment and you're allowing more time for analysis, public understanding and learning of what it means through this amalgamation process of Head Start. It would mean that council could be in a position of being able to work with all possible partners because it hasn't aligned itself any which way at this stage. You do have trade-offs though, and they could be that you may have less influence over boundaries, your assets, your liabilities and your rates, as well as prolonged uncertainty for the community. And there are possible risks around fewer opportunities to secure safeguards, some workforce uncertainty and weaker protection of local voice. We could, if this was council's preferred option, we could communicate this to the government that that's our choice and why. So it would mean that we're open to exploring continuing conversations, exploring alternatives and keep the door open that way. We're just touching quickly on what a Head Start proposal is. I think it's important that we understand that the Head Start proposal is a high-level request for agreement in principle on the local government reorganisation. It's the entry point to detailed design and it's not the final design itself, so we don't have all the answers squared away for any of the options based on this. The proposal does need to present a credible strategic case using the best information that we've got, but detailed structures, modelling and implementation arrangements will be worked through in the next phase. Essentially it's strategic and it's light touch. It tests whether the concept is actually workable in practice, not whether every detail has been resolved. Cabinet will be the decision maker on which proposals are agreed in principle, and then that's when they would progress through to detailed design. A proposal can be submitted by 2 or more territorial or unitary authorities. It must represent either a majority of directly affected TAs or a majority of the affected population. Minority groupings, individual councils, regional councils, individuals and other organisations can't submit alone. And the core proposal must amalgamate at least 2 TAs into a new unitary authority. So the ultimate goal is that any proposal should reduce the overall number of authorities and clarify accountability. So an eligible Head Start proposal needs to describe the proposed structure, how the roles and responsibilities could be consolidated, and explain the improvement over the current state for each assessment criteria, along with trade-offs, risks and unresolved work. For a sub-regional model, it needs to explain the benefits to the wider region and the impacts on councils outside the proposal. As I keep saying, it's a clear strategic outline. And just a reminder again that the officials will assess the proposals as a whole against the 5 criteria, with ministers able to make trade-offs, and they are the decision maker for what goes through to the next phase. An indicative pathway is from the lodgement of a Head Start proposal in August, is that we are likely to hear from Cabinet in September around what proposals they agree with in principle. And then that flows through to after the election, there'd be the detailed design phase in Q1 and Q2 of 2027. Happy to take questions.
Thank you. Councillor Cameron.
I have a few questions. The letter of intent, Tony, I read that for the first
Can
time.
you just pull your mic
Oh,
over?
beg your pardon.
Yeah.
I read that for the first time in the report. Tell me about the letter of intent.
This is, sorry.
You've got it.
Thank you. This is an emerging outcome that we're seeing councils who have made their Head Start or simplifying local government decisions. It's emerged over the last 10 days where councils are saying actually we aren't ready, but we are up for amalgamation, we're up for the conversation, and we just need more time to work through the details with possible partner councils. We're seeing a lot happen up in the North Island at the moment, and it's around still signalling to the ministers that we're here and we are engaged, but it's also not going as far as a Head Start proposal. So it's a little bit of a midway ground, and something that we hadn't quite contemplated at the start of the process, but it seems to be an emerging trend that we should consider is available to us if that's council's preference.
Can I carry on
Yes,
if someone puts their
yes.
light on? The next question is, if we do a letter of intent, is the DIA and the minister going to look at that in a serious fashion, or is that just not Head Start, not backstop? What the heck?
Hamish?
We can't accurately predict what DIA officials or ministers will do with that letter, but they can't unknow it either. And so as they consider outline proposals and as they consider the future for all councils, they will know what Ashburton is thinking, whether they regard it as a important document or not. But what they then do with it, of course, we don't know.
Okay. Can I carry on?
Yes.
A North Island council who decided that they were going to go backstop, and I think it was all over Facebook. The mayor or the spokesperson said there's been a softening with the minister and they're going to negotiate in the backstop, and it's not you get told where to go. There's a softening, and we're going to talk about it. Do you recall that conversation? It was on the news and things. Do you have a view on that?
Well, I think the view should be should look at the total conversation that was said, and then the minister came out and refuted it.
That's correct, he did.
So
Yeah.
you just have to make your own mind up as to whether there is a softening or not. But the minister was very clear in response to that mayor that there was not.
I have three more questions. Can I ask one before Richard?
One, and then I'll go to Richard.
Okay.
Yes.
You referred, Tony, to some councils saying that it's not negotiable, and I'll go back to, say, Selwyn or Christchurch. They're not wanting to split their territory. Well, Christchurch don't need to, but Selwyn, for example, not wanting to split the territory, so that's not negotiable. But if you're in backstop, if that unitary, or if we go standalone or somebody else goes standalone and that's not attractive to the government, well, everything's negotiable. So I don't understand what then we can say, well, we're not negotiable, and we're not going to do this and do that. Can we not?
Through Mayor Liz, I think it's not negotiable through the Head Start proposal process. Once it's in backstop, I don't think you'll have that negotiating power or that ability to make those demands.
Okay. Thank you. I've got more questions.
Okay. Councillor Wilson.
It's again to do with the Head Start process. The process takes, is it correct, it takes over a month, the Cabinet has a month to assess it and come back, and then when is the election after that? So I'm just trying to understand when we say that we can put all these how many, 67 different councils in the country, is that right?
That's right, yep.
67 different heads of agreements and things going. I think the Prime Minister mentioned it when he was in Ashburton the other day. They have a month to do it before that date. So I'm just understanding, am I correct in saying that? So there's a month to go to their Cabinet. The Cabinet has 67 bits of paper or whatever.
Through Mayor Liz, yes, that's as we understand it. That's all the material and the guidance that we've received from MCERT to date is saying it's a 1 month turnaround, hence why we haven't had a lot of flexibility to extend timeframes. The election is in November this year.
And if another question, in your part of your supporting information, we talked to, I'm looking at this from the environmental or the resource allocation part of, that's what our district relies on for its economic growth, so that's why I'm looking at it. You mentioned that the North Lane had a better environmental impact than the South one, and I would question that, and I'm just trying to understand. The Rangitata River is 90% of the irrigation water we get in our district, and the Rakaia, we supplement it through BCI, but a lot of it goes the other direction. So I'm just trying to understand why we haven't said the Southern River is the most important river rather than the Northern River.
Thank you, Mayor Liz. I'd have to probably look at the exact comment in the report to better answer that with clarity, but I think it's important to think of the assessment for each of the options available as in the round, as a whole and globally looking in and over top of them. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Mark, you had your hand up. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, so just relating to Councillor Wilson's previous question, so Parliament rises on the 25th of September, so there would be the expectation that Cabinet would have to make those decisions and release them by that date.
Okay, so there's not a lot of turnaround, is there? I've just got a quick question before I go to Councillor Cameron. If different councils make conflicting proposals, would that cause those councils to go into backstop?
We can't accurately predict that. We might guess that that is likely. They certainly can't approve both. But they might choose one over the other and the consequences of that would fall. But whether that would automatically put both proposals off the table, we don't accurately know.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cameron.
So if we go into Head Start and if the detailed design is not palatable, we don't like it for whatever reason, representation, resource allocate, whatever, we don't like it, what happens then? And we say, no, we don't agree to that detailed design.
The way that we are looking at that is in response to a webinar that we sat in on where that very question was asked of a DIA official, and he said that if councils wish to have off-ramps, you should put that in the Head Start proposal. Now, that's not to say that Cabinet will approve those proposals with that in there, or that they'll approve the off-ramp in that proposal, but the advice was very clear that should a council wish to do that, you should include it. The implication is also that if you don't put an off-ramp in, it's not available. And therefore you just have to do the best you can in the detailed negotiations, but wherever it ends up, you're still in.
So you put an off-ramp in your Head Start proposal?
If you can get that in, remembering it's a joint proposal with however many other councils, all of which have to agree for it to be in. But if there is to be a off-ramp, it needs to be in the Head Start proposal.
And if we decide as a council today on a Head Start proposal, we would have to decide almost amongst ourselves on our off-ramp or our minimum expectations of that relationship, if that's going to go in. That would almost be an agreement as well. Otherwise, that could be...
You've got from today until the 9th of August, and some of those options involve many councils. So this will be the art of the possible. Where there is agreement, that can clearly go in the outline proposal. If there's not agreement, it can either be referred to as a matter for further consideration under the detailed design, or it won't be in. But finalising a proposal from here requires all councils to agree.
But, yes, but my point to through the chair is that, say we have some ridiculous, we're going to merge with Auckland, I'm just trying to be ridiculous, and we say, well, we want this, this and this. And some councillors say, no, we don't want that, and some say we do. We need to have a minimum sort of deal, if you like, before we go into it, if we're going to agree on that Head Start. Like, to agree on a Head Start without an off-ramp and without our minimum expectations is possibly very naive and could end us up in...
So we've got a motion in place that says that an off-ramp is part of our negotiations. I think that comes into the detailed design down the track.
Well, not to what Hamish is saying.
Well, it can be, in my view, both. Like, you can leave it to detailed design, and you have negotiated in an off-ramp so that if that goes pear-shaped, you have choices. Or you can make your support for a particular proposal conditional upon that. And then you won't know, leaving this meeting, whether you've got a viable proposal, because that'll then require conversations with the other councils to see that that can go in. So you could propose an option with specific conditions. The more you put in, the less chance you will have of getting that agreed by the 9th. So I think the real intention is to take a more strategic view of this reform, and rather than trying to define detailed matters that bottom lines or non-negotiables, or without this we won't be in, because that's going to leave everybody, including all the other councils,
Sure.
very uncertain as to whether Ashburton's in or not.
I have one more
Oh,
question.
and
Do you want
I'm
me
just
hang
going to
up?
go to Tony first
Okay.
to comment.
Thank you, Mayor Liz. I was just going to draw Council's attention to page 21 of the agenda. Council did resolve on the 22nd of July some key matters for negotiation with councils. So they would be sort of our baseline going into making sure that they were covered off in any Head Start joint proposal.
Yeah.
So you've got one more
I have,
question,
and
Councillor
that's
Cameron?
Tony. It's something you said in your initial report. You said that we're looking now at when you went through the options available. One was a North Canterbury provincial option. You said that even though Christchurch didn't support that, that could still be an option for us.
Through Mayor Liz, yes, it could be. It would mean we are unlikely to find a Head Start proposal partner, but it could be that if that's council's preferred option, we could put that through as a statement, as a letter of intent to government. That is our preference.
Councillor Wilson.
I'm just looking through it's your in-depth analysis of the summary of the public feedback. Local voice was the number one thing, and influence is almost the word. Was there any examples of people said they didn't want to lose local voice? And I'm trying to understand what by amalgamating, I'm not perhaps talking north or south, I'm probably going from us as a standalone to the other options. What do people see as losing local voice? What do you lose? Because you can't, I'm just trying to understand if there was any examples of what you would lose.
Hamish.
I think local voice translates as the community's ability to influence decisions and direction. And the fear is that the larger the council and the fewer representatives that they know and can see and easily access, the less influence they have. So it's like, does a citizen have more influence over their community council or the government of New Zealand? And they probably feel they're more likely to be able to influence at a local level than at a bigger level. And so as council gets larger and representation gets more spread, then that local voice feels like it's being compromised. I think what it also means is if there is to be a bigger council, then those councils should think about other ways of giving effect to local voice within that larger structure. And so there's been conversations about local boards and community councils and other mechanisms to enable local people to influence the place that they treasure and live in within whatever the structure is. So it can mean all those things, but it's about influence essentially.
So effectively, we had thought about in any option how we'd retain that local voice. So none of them were independent of each other. We wanted to retain that local voice at all costs, sort of thing.
That's correct. But essentially you can also interpret it as being that the larger and more complex the council structure, the more thought you have to give to how will you set up things that will deliver local voice. The more distant it is from the people, the harder it is to do without some careful thought.
Councillor Everest.
Just clarity around Councillor Wilson's earlier comment that the Rangitata provides 90% of the community's water. Whilst that may be close to true for the RDR, it's not necessarily true for the total community, so let's just keep a focus on that. It provides a significant proportion of water for the community, but not 90% of it.
Thank you. I've just got another question around the letter of intent, and I know some councils down south had thought that the letter of intent was sort of a buying a bit of time, I guess, between Head Start and Backstop, and then decided against it because they didn't think it would get over the line. Are you confident that a letter of intent, and I know it's a hard question to answer because there's a lot of unknowns around this, but do you think the letter of intent is something that could work?
We can't predict the impact of a letter of intent. A letter of intent is not part of the government's reform initiative. It's not described in there. It's not a mechanism they have made available to us. It's not something that they are necessarily expecting as part of this reform. What it does, though, the intention is that it would show the government that the council's not anti-reform. They're not anti the trying to give effect to the things the government wants to achieve through the reform, that we're still a willing partner, but that we just haven't got to the point where we feel able to submit an outline proposal. And some of the councils who aren't going to be part of outline proposals that I've read in the media from the North Island, you've got some councils who have simply said, nothing to see here, we don't want your reform. So you're quite boldly saying, you know, we're not part of this. Other councils, though, have said, we actually understand the reform, we think it's a good idea, we're just not able, in the time frame we've had, to get a proposal up in time to meet your deadline. And that's what we're kind of describing as the letter of intent. It's not a formal thing, it's not something the government has set out to have or arrange, and they might reject all of them. Or they might see willing partners that need more time and effort, and they might get somewhere in the reform that would suit if there was a slightly more lenient approach to the deadline. But how it will be received, we can't predict. There is risk for sure in utilising a letter of intent when it is not being proposed as part of the initiative. But it's not to stop you doing it, even though it's not described formally.
And I guess Head Start was always explained to me as voluntary for those councils who were ready. So
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. Councillor Wilson.
I'd like to just circle back to the reason for the reform and just get your just to clarify some things. So the reform has been, and one of the central pieces is to get rid of the regional councils and to get their unitary power out to closer to the people, you'd say, which is by making the district councils unitaries. And if we ended up in the backstop, so the regional council is sitting there at the moment with its people, it's got its governors there, which we get to represent. We're represented by 2 in the Selwyn Ashburton zone, so we're lightly represented out of 16, I think it is, so we're pretty lightly represented. If they were to stay in place, if that backstop, if the way the mechanism works out, would ECAN stay in place for another potentially 5 years from now? And the governance, I think they mentioned the word around it being, could you just clarify who would be governing it? Because you've sacked the governors, the elected governors, and who would be the governors of ECAN? So in 4 years' time, who's running our resource consents and doing all that stuff?
Tony.
Thank you. Through me, Liz. Yes, as of the 28 elections, the local government elections in 2028, there would be no more elected regional councillors. Environment Canterbury would still exist, and they would be governed by a interim governance body. The government is saying this could include CTB-style mayoral boards. Remember late last year when the government announced a CTB mayoral board to look after the regional council functions at a governance level. It could include Crown-appointed commissioners or a hybrid of those arrangements. So those details would be worked out depending on the Head Start proposal situation for each region.
So just to clarify that, so that would be, at the moment it's dominated by an urban population of Christchurch, which plays out as we know. It wouldn't be dominated by a rural, provincial. More than likely, it would be a spread across the whole because of the functions of the regional council.
I think there's a highly unsatisfactory outcome from this reform, which is part of the region gets accepted into Head Start and part doesn't. Because the way I would read it is the part that gets accepted would become a unitary authority, and that has the full functions of a regional council, and the regional council would no longer exist. Not only the governors, but the regional council itself won't exist past 28 elections for that part that is accepted into the Head Start pathway. But if the whole region isn't accepted into Head Start and some is in backstop or is continuing negotiations and goes through, then that part of the old region continues to be a regional council to be governed by a process yet to be defined, but was described before Christmas. That seems to me to be an unsatisfactory outcome for the region, for the district, and for the communities of Canterbury. And that is the risk of a process where the whole region is not in a Head Start proposal of some sort, or Cabinet doesn't accept all those proposals, because that makes then for a very complicated regional / unitary picture post the 28 election, and given the changes to the RMA, obligations around spatial planning, that looks decidedly messy for everyone.
And if you recall, when simplifying local government, the reform was first announced, it was that we had a CTB, or the Combined Territory Board, which was made up of mayors or appointed people, from October this year, as the regional councillors were all going to finish in October this year, and then there was a 2-year time frame to reorganise and look at amalgamation. Feedback or submissions that were made, and I think there were about 1,100 submissions that were made to central government, then meant that the government announced that the Head Start and the backstop options were what they were looking at, because that meant, then that was mainly from the feedback from those submissions, that regional councillors should stay until October 2028, and councils were ready to reorganise or amalgamate faster. So that's how I guess it all came about. Right, councillors, this is your only chance for questions, so does anyone else have any further questions? Otherwise, Tony will be stepping back and we'll just be discussing and debating. Are there any more questions? Nope. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for that presentation and for putting all that together. So next, what I thought we would do is just go around the table, and you can give your views, make a statement, and then we'll look at going into the recommendations or the motions. I'm going to do something a little bit different. Councillor Everest, I'm going to start with you, if that's okay. And we don't really have a time frame, but if you start going over 5 minutes, I'll ding a bell or something.
That's fine. Hopefully I won't. And thank you for the shortest straw. I guess I've prepared something because I thought I'm going to lose my way and I'll take more than 5 minutes, so if I may just read some of it. I guess where I'm coming from is, why are we considering simplifying local government? And it's my perspective that ECAN has been the disabler for progress in our community, and we need enabling rules and regulations that will achieve environmental, social, cultural and economic viability. 82% of Canterbury's population lives in Greater Christchurch, and the public transport makes up 57% of the regional council's budget. ECAN's own data shows that the average subsidy per trip on the bus is $5.16 per person. Are the regions really getting the focus that they deserve? And that's not a slight on our councillors that are representing us, it's actually more just a comment about ECAN itself. There's no doubt in my mind that previous district councils at Ashburton have served us well, providing sound infrastructure, potable water, wastewater, stormwater, and facilities, the Domain, the EA Centre, Art Gallery, the museum, the event centre and the council buildings. We've also been fortunate that the strength of our community has enabled growth of facilities, including such things as Grain and Snow Centre at Methven. I guess your Pookie Pools would be another one, Staveley Ice Skating Rink, bike trails at Mount Hutt and in Ashburton, just to list a few. But as I see it, agriculture is still the backbone of our community and likely to be into the near future. The RDR certainly provides backbone and lifeblood to our community, but along with groundwater resources that have allowed us to turn an arid environment into a highly productive farming system that sustains a vibrant community that is Mid-Canterbury. Tony's already outlined a number of times the key five keys that the government has asked us to consider in terms of simplifying local government. But just to reiterate, one, which was supporting the new planning structure, the revised RMA. Two, which was the simplifying local government. Three, which was providing economies of scale. Four, maintaining a local voice. And five, deliverability, which basically meant can it be implemented by the 2028 election. We as council have reduced our options down to 3 last week, and our community has spoken through the survey and ranked the option of the Mid-Canterbury Unitary as its top option. My view on this option is that it only meets one of the government's key criteria, that of maintaining a local voice. It would be extremely difficult for us to sustain and implement a new planning system, the RMA, because of the scale. And it does not simplify local governance, and it does not provide economies of scale. Our research that has been provided to council would perhaps show that maybe economies of scale may be hard to come by under whatever structure we use. Whilst I respect the view of our community that we are serving as councillors, we are charged with doing the best for our community now and into the future, as Mayor Liz spoke of early on. The other two options which we've got on the table currently are merging with the wider South Canterbury, Timaru, Waimate, Mackenzie and possibly Waitaki, or merging provincial Mid-North Canterbury. Timaru Mayor Nigel and his team have been very proactive in working towards the Head Start program for South Canterbury, and we have been invited to these early discussions. The recent inclusion of Waitaki/Oamaru into the South Canterbury Head Start Collective has provided real strength and catchment approach for the Waitaki River. This catchment approach is one of the key criteria that the government has asked us to consider in the Head Start program. The South Canterbury Unitary area, including Waitaki and Ashburton, provide a population base of around about 125,000, thus providing scale, resilience, but with some imbalance in the districts in terms of infrastructure and key economic drivers. To me, with Waitaki, and specifically it's relating to Oamaru, included in the South Canterbury Unitary, Ashburton is an add-on and a nice to have, but not essential to that unitary. Whilst it does allow both sides of the Rangitata to be in one unitary, the big advantage in my view is having the full Waitaki catchment in one unitary. And for Mid-Canterbury, having just the Rangitata included into one unitary excludes the importance of the Rakaia River to our community. Our third option of provincial Mid-North Canterbury will provide a population base of just over 100,000 perhaps. As a council, we've had considerably less discussions with our potential partners in this grouping than we have had with South Canterbury. And for it to function, we also need the greater Christchurch City and the towns around to work together. I wrote this clearly last night.
Yeah, we've got 5 minutes,
That's
5 minutes, so
That's
one
all right.
more minute.
I'm just about finished. This provincial Mid-North Canterbury Unitary would bring together a number of like-minded small communities and would provide an integrated catchment management for most of Canterbury rivers. The analysis completed by our staff has indicated a potential difference in the financial positions of the four combining councils, but given the nature of this potential unity and bringing together parts of councils, it is difficult to determine exactly what this might be. To me, this unitary would create the opportunity to provide strong, integrated land use, infrastructure, environmental management, and improving long-term outcomes for both the unitary and Canterbury as a whole. And I've already spoken of the importance of agriculture to Mid-Canterbury. The letter that we received yesterday from Federated Farmers is strongly endorsed from a rural perspective a provincial mid-north Canterbury unitary. The splitting off of provincial Canterbury from metropolitan Canterbury recognises, and I quote, the fundamentally different needs and aspirations of metropolitan and rural communities in Canterbury. The splitting of the metropolitan and the rural communities would still enable constructive collaboration in the best interest of Canterbury when required, and I'm specifically talking about potable water for Christchurch and perhaps river control as well. Although 50% of our Ashburton population is urban-based, it is undeniable that agriculture drives the strength of our community. We have a regional council system that has not served our community well by not enabling leadership in our community to maintain and grow the social, environmental, cultural and economic viability for our future. This Head Start program is not only about my grandchildren, but their children and into their futures. I'd personally like to thank Tony and Mark, who have truly gone far beyond far beyond their roles normally in providing background information to help us make better decisions than this. This is a major decision for our community, and as such I feel that we need a significant majority to follow a path. I've been advised that this will not be the case. I feel it is inappropriate for such a large decision to be based on one single vote. We need strong conviction to our community by our community representatives in the direction of travel. After considering all the matters prior to the Christchurch City decision this morning, my view was the best decision was for ADC to have a wider Canterbury community, and so working with provincial mid-north Canterbury. Clearly that now no longer is probably an option. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks for that. Councillor Gilkison, I'm going to go to you next. It's a surprise.
First of all, I want to acknowledge all the work that's gone into the project so far. So thanks to all the ADC staff, councillors, the Mayor, as well as the councillors and mayors from across Canterbury, including Environment Canterbury, who have helped get us to this point. I'd like to say that we're about to reach the summit of Mount Everest, but the reality is that today's decision is just the beginning. We're not at the summit yet. In fact, we're only approaching base camp. From the outset, I've been positive about local government reform. Reform has the potential to help council serve our communities better, deliver efficiencies and savings, and hopefully strengthen public engagement with local government, leading to higher voter turnout in the future. But is backstart, headache, is Head Start the right call? So despite best efforts to develop a proposal that all of Waitaha Canterbury could support, Canterbury councils currently find themselves in a fragmented position, and that raises a really important question. Are we ready? There's a lot of noise out there, so today I urge councillors to make a decision based on what's best for our community and not what neighbouring councils may or may not choose to do. The views of our constituents and the evidence showing where positive outcomes can be achieved should be the most important factors in our decision making today. With that in mind, today I can support two options. The first is an Ashburton Unitary Authority. Is that a vote for the backstop? Perhaps. And I can't help feeling that taking more time and being more considered gives us the opportunity to approach reform with greater thought and purpose. It also allows us to learn from the experiences of others and potentially avoid costly mistakes. While the government's focus has largely been on amalgamation, a key objective of this reform is efficiency. Big is not always better, and there is little evidence that amalgamation will actually give economies of scale. However, can we work more closely with ECAN to develop services that more efficiently and achieve better outcomes for the community? I believe that we can. The second option I can support is a southern merger. First of all, according to the reports, the numbers stack up. This option also has the community support, which is important. And if I'm honest, it gives me a good feeling in my gut Sometimes, after considering all of the evidence, you also just need to trust your instincts. What I've seen from councils in the South is a willingness to have open conversations and openness to working together and some genuinely innovative ideas of how to make this reform meaningful. This is our opportunity to shape a local government system that works better for our communities. Today, we are not voting on exactly what the future council will look like. What we are voting on is who we want to work alongside with as we go through this process together.
Thank you, Councillor Gilbertson. Next, Councillor Maxwell. You've worked out, I'm doing a bit of a pattern here.
I have worked out the pattern, and it's really hard because in two people, there's a whole ton of my speech just gone. But what I'd like to say first and foremost is that I'd love to thank the staff and the community for engaging, because without your help and all your research and everything else you've done, we couldn't make the well-informed decision. And I thank the community for the feedback, because it matters. This is about Ashburton District. It is about the people in our community, and it is the future of our community. And for us as councillors, it sits with us today. Although, as like Deb said, it is just the beginning of the mountain we're going to need to climb. My next thing is, it is unfortunate that we have become in this position due to the fact that once upon a time we had an environment, Canterbury, that used to work really, really well, and over time, unfortunately, the very big cracks and chasms have formed, and it's become difficult for those of us in agriculture in particular, and councils, to work with this organisation. We've been so lucky to be served by a very strong council in the past, and hopefully we will have strong leadership and representation going forward in whatever form it is, at a local level, at a higher level, whatever it needs to be. I would have to say right now I support the southern option, but I also would love to see a unitary Ashburton. But we need safety for our community, we need like-minded people, and like Phil, I'm a strong believer in working with catchments and looking at the environment, our waterways and everything else as a whole, and that where we can work together as teams for the outcomes not only of our community, but our environmental outcomes, our business outcomes, and all those things that matter to the greater community as a whole.
Thank you, Councillor Maxwell. I'll just get you to switch your light off and we'll go to Councillor Moffat. Thank you.
Thank you. As you can gather, this has taken up a lot of headspace for all of us, councillors and staff, over the last couple of months, and in some ways it seemed like such a short time frame, yet it seems like a long time ago when we were first presented with information for this. And I've drawn on some of that first stuff which came out on the 10th of June and re-looked at it, and the option that I put in my terrible annotation at number 1 was rural Ashburton District and rural Selwyn. And I find myself today going back to that idea, and I will be putting an option F through when we get to it. And a lot of this has come about due to, as Deb said, the community's desire for an Ashburton unitary council. And we basically know that's not going to completely fly because of the numbers. But with Christchurch's decision today, which was very close, Christchurch nearly put a proposal in to become a greater Christchurch, which would have taken up all of Selwyn. But they didn't go there. So basically, I'm looking at giving the people of Mid-Canterbury the best of both worlds, and that would be Mid-Canterbury plus rural Selwyn. That would give representation that people here yearn for. It would also mean a bigger population, and with the growth of the rural Selwyn district, more diversity, I feel, to support the economy as well. We're very aligned with rural Selwyn, which is really only a concept in our own minds. The land is there, the land doesn't know where the boundary is, the rivers don't know where the boundaries are, so it's really just a concept. So I believe that this option would have huge public support. they would feel their voices are being heard. I believe Christchurch could perhaps support this proposal because, as I said, their vote earlier was 8 to 9, which was very close. And I believe that that is probably about all I have to say, because a lot of this has been done on the fly because of today's decision from Christchurch. I'll just have a quick squiz. I'll save it for debate. So hopefully some of what I've said will make some sense to just open our minds up to another option when it comes to the time.
Thank you, Councillor Moffat. Councillor Todd, you're up next.
Thank you, members. Can I just say that I don't fear change. I've worked in an industry for over 50 years that continuously evolved and changed, and that is the reality of business and, I dare say, of councils. We shouldn't focus on the here and now, but look forward 10, 20 years and ask how we want our local body structure to look, and start working towards that end goal, however that may look. So obviously I've discounted the standalone option, the Morrison Law report. There's little cost saving, and it obviously lacks economy of scale. Looking south, Timaru achieved agreement with the Mayor's casting vote. Obviously there's some Timaru councillors who have issues regarding Waitaki, which I hold as well, to be fair. And even Mackenzie, with its lower rateable base but higher tourist numbers, they do have challenges. So the southern option is not my preferred option. Option 3 is my option. Moving forward, that is the mid-north Canterbury option. I must say I was disappointed really that Christchurch City failed to get their Greater Christchurch option over the line. I listened to the debate this morning, and most councillors were in the here and now and not looking out 10 to 20 years, where I would suggest that Christchurch, Rolleston, Lincoln, Prebbleton, etc. will be one city at that stage anyway. So I'm still in favour of promoting the option that takes in the Ashburton district, the Selwyn Rural, Waimak and Hurunui districts. This option gives a strong rural provincial model and has already been mentioned as endorsed by the Federated Farmers, so they, from a rural perspective, they see this as the preferred option. So really, regardless of Christchurch's decision, we should strongly promote, if you agree, we should strongly promote this option to government, who are the ones who will make the final say anyway. So I said when we first discussed this 2 months ago, that the people of Ashburton and District tend to look north or travel north for business and social activities, and I see that not changing. Thanks, members.
Thanks, Tony. Next we have Councillor Hooper.
Thank you very much. I'd like to echo the thanks to the ADC team and our community. Your work has been outstanding and feedback has been fantastic. I've always said that we're under hiding for nothing with this, and I still think that today. I'm humbled to be part of such a major decision for our region. What's best for our community today, tomorrow, and 20 years from now? That's what we're deciding today. Our community's top priority is local representation, keeping our voice at the table. And I think we would have a strong representation if we headed south. My fear with heading north is that in 10 or 20 years, we get sucked into Christchurch City and we lose our voice. We need to listen to our community. Their top choice from Survey 2 was an Ashburton unitary with 34%. We all know that's not going to fly. Their number 2 choice was South Canterbury with 30%. Compare that to the mid-North Canterbury option, which gained just 3% of the votes. We quote from Survey 2, South Canterbury performs best overall when considering all rankings. Some interesting facts and concerns from some of the reports, especially when you put on your 20-year glasses. The earthquake risk goes from moderate here in mid-Canterbury and south of us to high in Selwyn and north of us. The top 4 regions with water quality risks are Selwyn, Ashburton, Waimak and Christchurch. The top 3 regions requiring freshwater and river investment are Waimak, Selwyn and Ashburton. Top 2 regions requiring flood protection investment from ECAN's LTP, Selwyn and Waimak. From the Morrison Lowe report, potential efficiencies of the South Canterbury unitary, a per property cost reduction of between 8 and 16%. And here's where I unfortunately knock out the Ashburton unitary, a per property increase of 4%. Couple of quotes from locals. South is more independent from city influence. And large enough for efficiency, small enough for representation. To finish, Timaru want us. They don't want to go it alone or wait and see what Christchurch does. They are well prepared and ready to go, and they want us.
Thanks, Councillor Hooper. Councillor Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor Liz. This is my 10th year on council, and this will be the biggest decision to be made. And unfortunately, I think we're doing it with one hand tied behind our backs with the time frame that was given to us to make this decision. I think central government has let us down in this process, but nevertheless, we have to move on and make a decision. And I totally agree we need to look into the future. I came here today with an assumption of the decision that Christchurch would make, and they've proven that definition of assumption right because it made an ass of me. They didn't make the decision I thought they'd be brave enough to make. I am really concerned that other councils, Timaru, 4-4, the casting vote of the mayor to make the decision. Christchurch, 9-8, a one-person majority to make such a major decision. Those things concern me greatly. So even though Christchurch let me down today on my thinking, I am still in favour of our option 3 of a provincial Mid-Canterbury, North Canterbury get-together. And if we have to do that through a letter of intent, I would support that.
Thanks, Russell. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. Loud local voice. 4 years ago, I had the fortune of being able to perhaps stand for council. I looked at standing for ECAN, but I think, as Councillor Ellis just said, 9-8. 9-8 is ECAN, and all the rural people are the 8. Provincial is 8 every time. So I didn't want to put myself in that position because the person, Ian McKenzie's there, he's done it for many years and has, God bless him, he's done a wonderful job, but he's always losing. So I thought, well, how else can I serve my community? So I thought I'll stand for the Ashburton District Council, and I was lucky enough to get on. And by being on here, you learn to do a lot of local stuff, which is the community, but also we've finally got to a position where we can actually alter that standing where ECAN is dominating us, and we've got the opportunity to do something about that. Last night I went to Methven to the river, what's it called? Mount Harding Stream meeting. That's community at its best. They're looking to do something about their stream. All they need is ECAN or the regulator to help them through that process. And I'd hope that we can, as a unitary, we could get past that. So I broke it up into 4 areas. I looked at governance, because that's local voice. It's about the people, their values, and their connection to their community. So it's who the community lets get elected, and elects those people will dictate it. So it doesn't probably matter if it's an Ashburton person, or it's a Timaru person, or a Pleasant Point person, or a Mackenzie person. If they're a good person with good values, they will make the right decision for any community. The future. rampant development concerns me. If you look at some of the towns that are developing very quickly, so that's why I didn't want to go with an urban population. They develop, it soaks the goodness out. It means your local facilities have to be bigger, your library has to be bigger, your pools have to be bigger, and they cost millions. And then I said, local. It's interesting, people, because we're in council, we probably get a bit full of ourselves as a word maybe. We think council should and will does not define a local identity. It should only amplify it. So when we say that if we get amalgamated with someone else, our local identity will be gone, I don't believe that's true. We should just amplify it. And as I said before, good people will help amplify it. And lastly, I put down money. Sound spending and prudent financial decisions are good wherever they're set up. So that is something that should be done. And again, it goes to the people you elect. It doesn't go to where they were elected from. It comes to the people you elect. And I think that's shown in many councils that the people have perhaps had ulterior motives and haven't done the core services. This council has always done the core services. And I think everybody that's elected here understands that. So whatever council we end up with, we would do the core services. So with much ado, I've decided to perhaps support the Timaru option because I think a lot of those communities are like-minded like us. They come from small rural areas. The urban population is the same. So I don't think we'd end up with many of the elected people from there could sit around this table quite happily and make the same decisions we make.
Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Mayor Liz. Well, today we've been tasked with a very difficult decision. And I think we've all given the message that we're incredibly disappointed at the time frame we've had to do it and the information we've had available on which to make this decision. There's still questions outstanding with regards to where ECANS, we know we rate $9 million in the community, but there's other, where they spend that money, what is actually undertaken in our district from ECAN. So we've had to make this decision with very limited information. And we have to choose a partner or partners to join us in a journey into the future. So you could use marriage as an analogy. Like we want a community that shares our values. We want a community that respects our decisions. We want a community that acknowledges our autonomy. And we also want a community that supports our spending priorities. And a prudent council and government would scrutinise whether any unitary offers decreased costs or are we risking importing any other communities' financial liabilities? We don't know. From other communities. We simply don't know all of these issues. And these considerations are to be considered. We've been advised in the detailed negotiations, which we don't know what we're going to do in the detailed negotiations unless we put some sort of letter in of our minimum expectations, which I urge us to consider. So I've listened to community feedback. I've spoken to many people on simplifying local government. I've read submissions from businesses, from journalists, from political pundits, from fed farmers yesterday, and I've spoken to a lot of other people. And apart from the common theme that we need to create efficiencies and reduce duplication and improve our relationship with ECAN and our resource management, how we choose our communities to rub along with, we don't know. Do we select like-minded communities? Do we select commercial partners? My view is we select where we maximise our representation, and that was the attribute that featured most highly in both of in our community surveys. So we need to maximise our community representation. We need to ensure our districts achieve self-determination and have input into our environmental management. In my view, representation is paramount. It determines our resource allocation, it determines our spending, it determines our whole autonomy, essentially, of how, and our priorities and how Ashburton will move forward. So we need to protect and amplify our local voice, and this will determine our future. And like a partnership, we need to safeguard what is important to us. We need to ring fence our assets, we need to maximise our rates and protect our waterways. Any unitary authority must deliver financial advantages. It must deliver synergies in business and in our community. And it must give us business stability. But most importantly, it must protect and value our local community. This is why I potentially do not support a southern unitary. I support a northern provincial unitary, which we've been told is off the table. Do we make a decision on compromise? Do we say, oh, well, it's off the table, so we'll go somewhere else? Is that how we're going to make the most important decision since 1989 on a compromise? I don't know that I agree with that. So at this stage, I will be supporting a letter of intent to a northern provincial unitary.
Thank you. I've just got a couple of words, and I know I set the task yesterday and said that we would go around the room and you could say a few words. I struggled to write anything last night. My head has been full of this whole reform business, probably since November last year, when just after our local body elections, we had a local government conference up in Wellington, and the Minister for Rural Communities, Mark Patterson, got up and spoke and said there was change coming, there are reforms coming, your pants will be on fire by Christmas. And it has felt like we have been trying to put the flames out since then. So it has been a very full-on, especially 3 months. I've spoken to just about every Canterbury mayor more than once, sometimes some of them every week, keeping updated, talking about how we can work together, and have also sort of organised as much information for councillors, meetings with other councils, so that we can all get as much information to make this decision. In light of this morning's decision that Christchurch City made, I don't think a North Provincial option is viable. I did think it would have been a very, very good option, and the reasoning for that is that numbers-wise it would have levelled up a North Canterbury option with the South Canterbury option, and then of course the expanded city. So I had thought that that would be my preference. My view is swayed by the feedback that we have received from our residents, and bigger is not always better, I think, as someone's already said. I feel that Ashburton has always maintained its independence. We have our own lines company, our own rugby union. We've always been mid-Canterbury and very independent of the rest of Canterbury. I think a standalone Ashburton unitary that can take on regional functions that ranked highest in our survey results, and I feel that that is probably this is quite emotional, isn't it? It's a very big decision to make. Anyway, I'll keep going. So for me, I think that is our best option. It gives us a strong local voice, and it would give us 100% control over our strategic direction. We're small but mighty, and I think we would be a powerful voice within Canterbury if we stood alone, and if we became that unitary authority that represented our Ashburton community and represented it well. I'm just going to adjourn for a minute to go and get a drink of water, so we'll just adjourn for 5 minutes and then we'll come back for debate. Thank you. thank you all and welcome back. So we are now going to look at our options, and I just want to advise that I will not be using my casting vote. And the reason is, and I think Councillor Everest mentioned it before, and a few other councillors have spoken about how tight the votes have been around Canterbury. This morning, Timaru, there's been a few others. So I've decided not to use my casting vote. So if a motion ends up being 5-all, then it will lapse. And we will look at, I will then take another motion. Now I'm going to test the waters. And so I'm going to, and I'm just sorry, we'll find the page. So I will put a motion up that Council approves the standalone Ashburton District Unitary Councils as its preferred approach for the Simplifying Local Government Reform Program. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Gilkison? Speakers for or against? Councillor Gilkison.
As you said, Liz, before, we are small, but we are mighty. We know what our community needs, and I believe that we will thrive. There are routes to efficiency that don't include amalgamation, and I think we can put together something that will give us the best outcomes for our community.
Councillor Wilson.
I don't support this motion because I think I'm proud Mid-Canterbury and I want to support Mid-Canterbury, but in this case we need the scope, we need the scale to do it. And as I said early on, it's not about we think a local voice will be lost if we go elsewhere. It's the people that you elect that maintain your local voice, and the community is bigger than that. So I don't think we're going to lose that. I'm concerned that going down this path, we're non-conforming, because if we look north, we have no partners north unless you pair with one of them. And if I was looking in, I'd say you pair with someone you're the friend, so why not go together? Why not just be one? So that concerns me immensely. I'm looking south, which is the opposite of this one. I think we have partners, willing partners. We worry about some parts of the community. Well, they could worry about some of ours, but there's some wonderful communities which we could go with. So I cannot support this one.
Thank you. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. Through the chair, I support this motion after the the provincial northern motion, but I feel from what I've heard, because of the ambiguity around the rules and all the rest of it, I'm uncertain whether the rural provincial option is even an option, given that it's been rejected entirely by Christchurch. And I've, kept in touch, kept abreast of the discussions in Waimakariri and Huranui, and they're not overly fond of it either. So this option would be my second preferred and be much more palatable. We would have to be very clear that we have voted against urban Rolleston, and we voted against being included in an urban Christchurch. You would have to have that somehow as a minimum and as our, sort of, what did Tony say in her presentation? A non-negotiable, I think you said. We'd have to have that as a non-negotiable, because we have actually excluded those groups from our decision earlier on. So in principle, I support the motion.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. I will also speak in favour. This was my option too, and I agree. I think this is stronger than a letter of intent. I see very little relationship with Waitaki for Ashburton, and even into the Mackenzie Basin I see very little relationship with Ashburton. Councils over a long period of time have done a fantastic job of looking after Ashburtonians and our rural district, and I would like to see us to continue to be able to do that into the future.
Councillor Moffat.
I'm a bit like Councillor Cameron. I do support this, but as I said earlier in my statement, I'm kind of looking at an Ashburton Unitary 2.0 that would include rural Selwyn. So it puts me in a tricky position that I really have a bad feeling about the Waitaki, Timaru, Waimati, Mackenzie and Ashburton five-headed beast. I think that we would lose our representation, we'd lose our voice with so many councillors. I believe our negotiating power would be watered down significantly. The northern option, sort of similar, and really I think we haven't spoken to them as much, so I don't know how amicable that sort of arrangement would be either. So Ashburton Unitary, for me, yes, I do support it.
Councillor Everest.
Thank you. While it would be nice to have, I can't see how it's a solution out 10 or 20 years. To me, it doesn't meet a lot of the requirements that the government has asked us to look towards. And as I said in my earlier comments, I really struggle with whether we could actually be competitive in the long term with all the extra functions that we're going to have inflicted on us with taking on it unitary. So I'm not in favour of it.
Any further? Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. I'm a proud Mid-Cantabrian, as is everybody around at this table, and I would love this to fly, but I think we all know that it's not going to. DIA in this room pretty much told us that it's not going to. Simplifying local government isn't replacing 67 district councils with unitaries.
Any further speakers for or against? Councillor Todd.
Thanks, members. Once again, you're looking at 10, 20 years. I don't believe a single authority will fly, so it's not really a solution, so I'll be voting against.
Thank you. Councillor Maxwell.
As much as I would love to support this and a very proud Cantabrian, mid-Cantabrian, I think we struggle to hit enough of the points that we need to in order to get this over the line. So unfortunately, I will not be able to support it.
Thank you. I will put the motion. All those in favour, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Against. 5. Lapses. Is there another motion to be put forward? Councillor Hooper.
Yeah, I'd like to move a motion taking into account feedback from our community and the 59% who said they didn't want Waitaki in compared to 16% who did. I move an Ashburton and South Canterbury Unitary Council excluding the Waitaki Council. This would establish a single unitary authority covering Ashburton District, Timaru District, Waimati District and Mackenzie District.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Wilson? Would you like to speak to your motion, Councillor Hooper?
I pretty much did in my earlier speech, but I think they're well organised, well prepared, they're ready to go, they want us, and they're very professional too.
Speakers for or against? Councillor
I'll
Wilson.
just speak for it because I think we get tangled up thinking south with Timaru, we think of one big conglomerate, but Timaru is made up of many small communities. I've run through some of them. Pleasant Point, Geraldine, Fairley, well that's Mackenzie, but a lot of those small communities they're not going to vote as one block with Timaru. They're going to look for like partners. They look to Ashburton. So local voice will be a lot of small communities looking and thinking, what do we want to do and what is a good outcome? So that's where I believe the local voice will come from, a conglomerate of communities, not just one big city with a small one next to, which I think some of the concerns around Timaru.
Any further speakers for or against? Councillor Gilkison.
I speak in favour of this motion. I forgot what I was going to say. I feel like there's all the things, but I guess what it comes down to for me is all of the communities to the south, whether you're Geraldine, Temuka, Pleasant Point, it doesn't matter. I feel like everybody is on a similar page working towards the same thing and they have similar outcomes in mind. There are always things that are going to get in the way, but I think that it's the right people with the right mindset who are going to give the best for our communities.
Councillor Ellis.
Just seeking some clarification, because for this to be a legitimate proposal, it needs support from another council, and with limited time, I'm just wondering where that may come from.
Hamish will let you interject for 1 minute.
If council passes this motion, then it will be incumbent on us to try and have a qualifying proposal by having a joint proposal. There is potential for that not to be easily done, but equally we'll make every effort to give effect to council's decision, and it may be possible for us to find a partner that would put in a complying proposal. That would be the work at hand.
Councillor Everest.
Yes, thank you. Yes, the Southern Group want us to join them. There's no doubt about that, and yes, they're well organised. To me, it is. Sorry, was that?
No, continue.
Sorry. To me, it is not considering the wider Canterbury concept, and I know that we're not here to look after all of Canterbury. We're here to look after our ratepayers and constituents. But to me, it doesn't deal with the wider issues in the long term. I'm still, as I've said in my earlier comments, I'm still favouring heading north with a grouping in provincial, and the reason for that is still valid in that it meets our community requirements in terms of looking forward 10 or 20 years. Not to say that it could not happen in South, but I think some of our northern partners are rapidly running out of partners if we don't run with them as well. So I think there's a good argument to do that. That said, and to be fair to Hoops and the movers, my concern is we haven't had good discussion with our northern partners to know whether they actually want to do that. And so you've got a very valid point, Phil, and I'm totally with you. I'm still not supporting it, but I'm able to be swayed with a beer.
Would you like to write a reply, Councillor Hooper? Sounds like your shout.
Oh yeah, I'll buy a beer, yeah. No, I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. I will put this motion, all those, and this is that council approves the South Canterbury Unitary Council, which includes Ashburton District, Timaru District, Mackenzie District, Waimate District, but excluding Waitaki District as its preferred approach for the simplifying local government Head Start process. Have I got that? That's correct. Okay, all those in favour, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, lost. And those against? Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 against. Okay. Councillor Ellis, you have a motion to put forward?
Yeah, I'll have a try. And I think this one can only be a letter of intent, which was my first option, that the provincial mid-north Canterbury amalgamation, if you like. So I would like to move that we send a letter of intent that that's where Ashburton would like to go.
Do I have a seconder for that, Councillor Everest? You'd like to second that? Speakers for and against.
Could you just read the motion again, Liz, please?
Oh, sorry. So that council approves the provincial mid-North Canterbury North Unitary Council as its preferred approach for the simplifying local government reform program. And shall I continue there, that council submits a letter of intent to the Minister of Local Government and Ministry for MCERT on the provincial mid-North Unitary Council to the simplifying local government Head Start process by 5 p.m. 9th of August 2026. Speakers for or against? Councillor Wilson.
I speak against this motion because I look at, we're talking local voice, and if we look at the places where we're looking, Selwyn voted unanimously against it. Huranui have a survey out that really talks about a North Canterbury unitary, not about us. Waimak has a survey out that does that, and they've made their decision, so I don't know what their decisions will be. Christchurch City made a democratic decision not to go into this situation when they could have done that. If they'd done it, yes, definitely. So I think it's undoable. So I would like to buy my neighbour's house, but I can't unless he sells it. This is a classic case. We want what we want, but we can't have it. So there's no point in being unrealistic. We're only one council out of 67, 37,000 people out of probably 600,000 north. They don't want to do this, so I think we're being unrealistic. We might as well just be going to the backstop if this is the question we're answering.
Councillor Gilkison.
I don't support this option, apart from the fact that in our surveys it only got 3% support from anyone in our district. I think in practice what will actually happen is the rural voice will overrun the urban voice. And although I am rural, and we often have this debate, the two need each other. They are interdependent. If you told me that coming in from Mayfield, I've got absolutely no say over the library, the pool, any of the fields that I use in daily life, I would be annoyed at that. And that is where this falls down. You would be cutting off some rural communities from the townships that they are regularly using, and the two need each other.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. Yeah, I speak against, as I mentioned in my speech, my biggest fear is heading north, that in 20 years' time, maybe less, we will get soaked into Christchurch City and lose our representation completely.
Thank you. Right of reply, Councillor Ellis. Councillor Todd.
Thank you. I speak in favour of the motion already, so I still hold that view. I'll be voting in favour of the motion. One question, I suppose, really is considering the close vote in Christchurch, if government dictate a greater Christchurch, which could happen, can we change our mind? And that would be an interesting discussion to have too.
Yeah, not sure. Okay, right of reply, Councillor Ellis.
Just to make the comment that Federated Farmers support this direction, and I think, as we've had pointed out, our rural sector is a very important part of our community, so yeah.
Okay, I will put the motion. All those in favour, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Against? 5. We are going nowhere fast. Right, we will adjourn for Councillor Wilson.
And there's one motion we can put that hasn't been put, and I'd like to put the motion that we join the Southern Unitary, which includes Waitaki, which is a live Head Start option at the moment, because they have 4 willing councils which have all voted to join it. So I'd like to put that motion forward, please.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Gilkison, you'd like to second that? Okay. So this is the motion that is on, sorry, I'll just find it. You've got it up on that screen. Where? Which page is it on, Tony? Sorry. Page 11. Oh, I've gone right past it. Oh, I see it down there. No. Page 10. No. No. So this is on page 12, that Council approves the South Canterbury Unitary Council, which includes Ashburton District, Timaru District, Mackenzie District, Waimate District and Waitaki District as its preferred approach for the simplifying local government Head Start process. Speakers for or against? Councillor. Yes, you can. Sorry.
I believe this is a live option. We've talked about just before we turned down, but we talked about willing to go rural north. This option is rural south, effectively. There was two options put up very at the beginning by wider commentators, a rural unitary and a city unitary. This is the major part of the rural unitary, and if we want to keep an option live of taking over the northern part, we actually still, by doing this, we actually have an option where we could be the whole unitary right through. So I know that maybe doesn't tick some people's local voice, but I think if you get that big, your local voice would probably be actually more enhanced, because 10 councillors over that big area can't run every community. You would have to have strong, big community boards or community councils to run those things. So I think this may actually be a way of strategically endorsing the Greater South, which then can actually, the Greater South, once they've put that forward, they could put forward to the government that maybe to enhance, to have a Canterbury solution, they take in the wider and get Christchurch to be a unitary, Greater Christchurch unitary.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. Yep, I support. If it's population based, I think we still have excellent feedback at the table, and this was clearly the public's second best option, and I think we need to listen to our community.
Any further speakers for or against this motion? Councillor Everest.
I've said before that I wanted to have a clear majority and a decision, and I think we need to be making a decision today. So yeah, I'm just going to support the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Todd.
Probably where I'm still sticking to my guns. I believe we should be fighting for a mid-north unitary, and I still hold that view.
Thank you. So just the recommendation, and that's up on screen. So that's, you've got two, which says that council submits a joint proposal with South Canterbury partner councils, including Waitaki, to the Head Start process by the 9th of August, and that the Mayor, the council delegates authority to the Mayor and CE to negotiate terms with the partner councils and approve the Head Start proposal on behalf of council for submissions. Councillor Wilson, are you happy to move that?
The clause 2.
You're happy to include all of that?
Probably clause 2. I'm happy with clause 2. I'd like to change that, because I think that there's an authorise the Mayor to sign and submit a Head Start proposal following circulation of the final draft to councillors. Clause 3. Sorry, I can't read it up there. Yeah, clause 3. Sorry, change that to, because I don't think it's fair the chief executive gets put in that position. The chief executive would draft it and help the Mayor to draft it, but then the Mayor should be the one leading, and if it can be final circulation to the councillors, that would give the councillors comfort that actually was the words we said. So just that final clause. And the other clauses I'm happy with.
Sorry, Councillor Gilkison, I just need a nod from you. Are you happy if that is amended? Yeah. Councillor.
Can I ask a procedural question, please?
Yeah.
If this is passed, do we then put in the off-ramp scenarios? Is that included in that motion, or what?
That's already in another motion that we passed last week. So that is.
Put that in, so that's included in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we're just taking out and chief executive. Yeah. So just because it's up on screen, we'll do that. Okay. Are you happy with that? Councillor Moffat, you speak for or against?
I am not really comfortable with taking out the chief executive. I think that should stay in there. The chief executive has advised us throughout this whole process. It's not that he will be making a decision. He will be acting as an advisor.
So that's come from the mover and the seconder, that they are comfortable with that. So I will put the motion. All those in favour Aye. Against? Right, we are definitely going round in circles. Okay. Councillor Moffat.
I'd like to put a motion.
Sure.
A motion to present a proposal for a mid-Canterbury Rural Selwyn Unitary Council to the Government's Head Start scheme for simplifying local government. It was originally called the Catchment Rangitata South to Rural Selwyn.
Do you have a seconder? Is there a seconder for that motion? No, sorry, so that lapses. We will just adjourn for 5 minutes. You have a
There's only one other choice, and it's backstop.
Backstop,
so
yeah.
I will move. We go. Obviously, we can't make a decision. We need to, and if backstop is that by default, it is what it is. So I will move. We go into backstop.
Is there a seconder for backstop? Councillor Moffat, yes. We move into backstop, so that is in the. There is a motion up there. We knew this was going to be hard, everyone. We knew that our views reflect what the community thinks, and that it was going to be very divided, which is not helping anything. But we do need to come to an agreement.
Can I make an amendment
Yes.
that
I haven't got a seconder
No
yet.
seconder yet.
Oh, yes, I did.
Julie,
Councillor
did you?
Moffat. Sorry, Councillor Moffat seconded. Yes, you can make an amendment.
that instead of going to backstop, we put forward a letter of intent that we are happy to move forward, but we just haven't had enough time and we can't decide on the information. Is that backstop? Yes, number 3, that one. Is that part of backstop? Yes. Okay. Oh, okay, so that whole thing? Okay.
Okay, so I'm going
Yep,
to read.
happy with
I'm
that
going to
then.
read that out, so that you. I'm not sure if you can see that, Tony, Councillor Todd. That council resolves not to submit an outline proposal under the Head Start process. That council resolves to continue exploring and advocating for alternate local government reform models outside the Head Start pathway that seek to improve local government and retain local representation for the Ashburton district. That council authorises the Mayor and Chief Executive to communicate council's position through a letter of intent to the Minister of Local Government and the Minister for Cities, Environment, Regions and Transport, MCERT. The letter may also confirm council's willingness to take an active role in local government reform, either independently or in collaboration with other councils where there is agreement, including where Ashburton District Council is identified as a proposed partner in any Head Start proposal or other local government reform proposal that has not been endorsed by council. That council delegates the Mayor and Chief Executive to approve the letter of intent for submission.
Thank you. Yeah.
Councillor Wilson.
I'll make an amendment to that.
Yes.
I'd make an amendment on the bottom one because I think this is, we're clearly split on the intent, and so it puts the pressure on the Mayor to try and read what that intent is, and the Chief Executive shouldn't, he drafts it as the leader of his organisation. He drafts it and helps to get the words written down, but the decision is the Mayor's and our decision. So I think the Mayor remove the Chief Executive and put in
Councillors.
Mayor and Council's decision, and the Mayor, I leave it to the Mayor to get the feel of Council the way she sees fit.
Is that an amendment, or are you, Councillor Everest, I'll just get you to turn your light off for a wee minute.
Is the move? I'm happy with that.
You're happy with that?
change without having to be an amendment.
Yeah. Councillor Moffat, are you happy with that? Yeah. Councillor Everest, would like to speak?
Mine's the same. I was wondering, with respect, whether we could change the third line, bullet 3, which is the letter may, with the letter will also.
Councillor Ellis, Councillor Moffat, are you happy with that change, may to will? Yeah. Yes? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, speakers for or against this motion? Councillor Cameron.
I don't like being in backstop. I don't like someone else's will imposed upon us. I'd like to make a choice. We have been split on all the choices that we've had available. Do we have another crack at the choices and see if anybody's change their view based on this is what we're looking at, backstop, or do we not? Like, is there a way forward other than backstop?
Is someone able to, because I haven't used my casting vote, and maybe if I had, we would have finished this ages ago. Is there a clause where we can revisit some of those options because they have lapsed?
Can we just pause and get some good advice to the councillor's question, please?
Yep, let's adjourn for 5 minutes. Thank you. you, and I hear there are a lot of people watching us. Thank you for your interest, and as you can see, this is a very, very difficult decision, and Councillor Cameron has asked a procedural question. I'll ask Hamish to answer that.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and in the time available to us, we have had a good look at standing orders and can't see any particular preclusion for re-putting a motion that's lost. So we've got a whole lot of motions that have been lost. So in the end, we don't have a motion to revoke because there's new information, because we don't have a successful motion. So we would probably suggest that the mayor or the chair of that particular meeting has discretion to allow or not whether a motion that has previously been lost to be re-put. And she might want to think about the consequences and ramifications of allowing that. But that's our best advice in the time available to us.
Thank you, and we are not making any headway, so I don't think that we can accept some of the motions that have been lost. So I'll continue with the motion that's on the table. Councillor Wilson.
Could I put this, there's some new information that's come out during the meeting that Waimakariri has voted to go with Huranui, which does material. That's two of the northern options are now potentially off the table for the Head Start program. So I think that is quite, because we were looking to take part of their area and we didn't know what they were doing. But we can be certain that Waimakariri is not going to be a partner for us going north, because we can't take half their country if they're not there to have.
I would just kind of repeat the advice there. If there was a motion that had been passed and new information came to hand, with a 75% majority, you could agree to revoke that motion. But in this case, we don't have a motion to revoke, and that's what I'm saying. So there isn't anything in standing orders that says new information would create the opportunity for re-putting something that has been lost, and therefore our best advice is that the chair should use her discretion, but it's not linked to new information in the standing orders as it would have been had a motion been passed.
Can I ask the question? It's a procedural question. Would a motion that was Ashburton and Timaru as a standalone unitary would it be too similar to the motions that have been lost to be put, or not fallen on the table, effectively not lost?
So correct me if I'm wrong, but are you suggesting a new option of just Ashburton and Timaru?
Yes.
I think you could put that, but I think you would take this one first because it's already been made.
We've got a motion on the table now. Councillor Gilkison.
Are we maintaining debate?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So this option, whilst I have had some, thoughts around the backstop and how nice it would be, it is disappointing, because for us in practice, what this means, in point 3, we are giving councils permission to put us in their proposals, yet we won't have a seat at the table. So a lot of decisions, we don't know how many, there's no way to know, might happen in the time that it actually takes to bring us into that conversation. So because of that, I can't support this, even if it's likely to be the councils that I'm wanting to be with, but I think we want a seat at the table. And given we've had advice that, I think that's how I interpreted the advice, that we can revisit because we haven't had a motion. Yeah?
No, Madam
At
Chair,
the discretion of the chair.
Yeah, I think my advice was that the standing orders don't contemplate it.
Yeah.
And therefore our best advice would be that the chair of that meeting rules on it, and she has said she won't accept a previous motion.
Okay.
So as in the motions that we've already had put up.
Yes. Those that have been put in lost.
Yes. Councillor Moffat.
I do feel that backstop is the place of last resort, but I don't see it as an indication of a lack of leadership or decision-making ability from the people around this table. I think it's proof of the unreasonable task that the government put in front of councils. I think it's an indication that an honest approach has been used by this council and displays a willingness for further investigation and negotiation. I think if the government has any wisdom, it will not put Ashburton District in a position that will compromise this vital agricultural region, which is part of the greater economy and which the greater economy depends on.
Councillor Wilson.
I cannot support this one because it is effectively putting us in backstop with no clear direction to the government where we're going. So I still maintain that we need to be giving direction because we are 1 in 60, I've got the number now, 67. So when it comes to cabinet, unless you have it's like going for a job interview. Unless you have one paragraph what you want to do, you're just one of the masses, and we would be just one of the non-conforming ones who haven't actually moved with how the government wanted to go. I think Prime Minister Luxon said the other day, we're in a hurry to get things done. We can't sit and wait. That's basically his message to the crowd. That's his message to business. It's his message to everybody. So saying you don't know what you want to do is not in his mentality, I don't think.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm finding it hard to support this. I'd like to think that we could talk about it more and come to a decision. I really would. The feedback, I agree with Richard that this puts us into backstop. The feedback I've had about backstop, if you're going to do that, you should have done that on day one and stopped spending and wasting the money that you have done. Just make a decision. That's the feedback I've had from my community. So I'd like to think we could talk about this further and come to a decision.
Councillor Cameron.
My whole position is based on autonomy and choice, so I cannot support backstop. I also thought that Canterbury was going to put in from the mayoral forum a proposal involving all of Canterbury.
So
wasn't the mayoral forum resolved?
The mayoral forum was going to support all the proposals that the Canterbury, individual Canterbury councils were going to put forward.
Yeah.
Mayoral forum can't put a proposal forward on behalf,
beg your pardon.
but
That's
there
what I
was
understood.
intent that we would, the mayors would support.
I don't support backstop.
Councillor Everest.
Well chaired, Madam Lamia. I know it's a stressful spot for you up there. I can see this fire coming out of the back of the chair. But seriously, we've backed ourselves into a position where we actually have no more options. And to me, this is the only option that we've actually got left. I don't like it because I don't think we've made a decision. But actually, all the decisions in the discussion we've made today is that clearly we are very divided. We're good for a council, in terms that we can debate the issues, and we've changed votes from side to side from time to time, but we're extremely divided on this, and we don't have a single majority. So I don't think we've actually got any choice but to support this, because this is the only other option we've got left.
Thank you. I'm going to support this as well. I didn't think I would, but the reason behind it is that to enter into a Head Start proposal, it was a voluntary option for councils who are ready, and I can see that we are actually not ready. And while we have made discussions, and while we could have made this commitment, I guess, on day one, we didn't. We wanted to explore it. We wanted to take all that time to see what was going to be best for our community, and we're slap bang in the middle of Canterbury. We have had offers from our southern neighbours. We've had options from our northern neighbours. We have support from lots of other councils. And so, yeah, I just feel that while being backstop is showing leadership in this instance, because otherwise I think we will be here all night. So I will support this. Councillor Todd.
Thank you, Liz. Yes, I'm coming to that same conclusion. I just look at the wording at the top of option 5, where it says, do not confirm the preferred Head Start option now, but continue advocacy and participate in the later backstop process. So that indicates that we still can keep talking, maybe at a later date. And by then we'll know the government's thinking around the Greater Christchurch as well, because I still believe that government will override what Christchurch City Council have decided anyway. So I'll probably support the motion.
You've spoken already, but
I appreciate that.
yeah,
And I'm quite happy if you cut me off. However, I just wonder, given where we're at, whether we should all sleep on it and reconvene again in the morning.
I won't be here, so. Councillor Maxwell.
As much as I'm surprised we actually got to this point, I will support this motion because we better have, well, in my opinion, a letter of intent is better than just going straight to backstop with nothing.
So hang on, I'm confused now of what the motion is. So, Councillor Ellis, you move this motion? It's backstop. So that council resolves not to submit an outline proposal under the Head Start process. It's the full thing, yep. But there would be a letter of intent for submission by the 9th of September or 9th of August?
Oh.
Yeah, good. Okay. Okay, right of reply, Councillor Ellis.
And by default, you're nearly right. There's intent being shown by going to backstop and negotiating something in the future, but none of us know today what it is. I think I agree with Councillor Everest, we have backed ourselves into a bit of a corner. I think don't be afraid, this is still making a decision, and that decision tells the ratepayers of Ashburton that we have looked at all these options and we're not unanimous on what is best for them. So we think the best thing to do is stop and take some time and think about it and work together to try and get the best outcome. So, yeah, I will be supporting this.
Okay, I will put the motion. All those in favour, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 against. 3 against. You're like recorded, Councillor Hooper, Councillor Cameron, Councillor Wilson recorded that, and Councillor Everest. Councillor Todd. Councillor Todd voted for this motion.
Cool.
Yep. Motion has passed. Whew, I wrote this last night. I would like to thank you all for your discussion and debate today. It has not been an easy task. I thought, yeah, it will be hard. The 3-month time frame has felt rushed and at times like we are running through mud to get to this outcome. I'd like to acknowledge our residents for providing us with feedback on our options. Over 1,000 responses is incredible. I'd also like to acknowledge our staff who have put together all the reports, the comms material, and given us the information we've asked for. And I know that there is a level of uncertainty for staff, and we acknowledge that you have had many questions over the last few months. Councillors, I know that we'll be focused now on making the next steps with our whole community in mind and what's best for the district. So thank you very much for all your time this afternoon. I know we still have a little bit more business to go, but thank you very much. It's been difficult, it's been hard, and everyone has had their heart on their sleeve when they have spoken, and I think everyone in the community can appreciate that. So thank you. We'll now move into committee. Do I have a mover? Councillor Ellis, seconder. Councillor Hooper, all those in favour, aye. This will be easy. Against, no, carried. Thank you.